Let's kick it old school! Old school essentials. The further adventures of the Thunderous Fury.
All right, it is Old School Essentials, the further adventures of the Thunderous Fury, session 61. Time for the recap.
We decided to head on out on this way, or was it that way? I obviously don't remember way, whatever. In any case, going through this strange rowing, and of course, Quintock volunteers himself as the navigator, so he doesn't have to row like the rest of us. And the first thing we come across that's, well, odd, I mean, besides the whole, strange wavering horizon, et cetera, are three goblins on driftwood. We spot them first. They don't seem to be hostile, so we let them spot us and talk to them a bit. Clintock, of course, pulls out his handy little gem finder, realizes, yes, there is a gem there, and decides that he wants to play a game with them. The game that they suggest playing is Pull the Lion's Tail, where they pull out a piece of seaweed from the surrounding area and see what happens. Clintock convinces them to go first, and indeed one of them pulls out a piece of seaweed that looks like a lion's tail and waves it around and says, okay, your turn. Clintock goes next and pulls up a lion's tail, and indeed nothing happens. So hey, time to keep going. They go again, except Clintock realizes that now is probably when shit goes badly, and distracts them by falling into the water. And then my notes get a little fuzzy, but he somehow tricks them into giving over the emerald. You correct me. Was it did Clintock fall in, or did one of the goblins fall in after Clintock tricked them?
So Clintock falls in,
right.
But the first time that happens, he throws a marble to distract them, and then pulls up the one that he's already pulled. The next time that he goes, the third time, he goes to pull out one, but falls into the water and is like begging for help. One of the other goblins jumps in after him to save him, and then he helps that goblin like back up onto the board.
Right, and claims the goblin's life. Right.
Yep.
Thank you for correcting my memory and my notes. So eventually he grudgingly gets his emerald, because Clintock proves himself trickier than Goblin Faye. There you go. But we have a few more peaceful hours rowing, and the next odd happening is a swarm of fish that's swarming around. They form a circle in the water and flash bioluminescence in order to spell out words. The first one, of course, being hello. Karn, of course, being the St. Cuthbert Annabelle lover, talks to them extensively for a few minutes. John Tor decides that, fish should like wine, and dumps a little wine in the water. Clintock convinces Karn to get the fish to help push, which they actually do, feeding us on our way a little. And they finish by saying, good luck, land this way, etc. So we're suddenly confronted with a fog bank. Sort of came out of nowhere. It is a voice saying, land this way, grab the rope. A couple of us are like, huh, really? Since we really can't see the path any longer. But indeed, we grab the rope, and shortly thereafter, we are on shore in where we're actually expected to be, and being greeted by a gentleman in a weird outfit called Mortimer Whitefish. Actually, all of them have weird colored, odd matching outfits. But Mortimer Whitefish is apparently the official greeter, and he's being helped by Leaf, who is an ape, and a cat person whose name it doesn't look like I wrote down. In any case, they lead us to an elven man with silver hair who welcomes us to the distant shore, and then says he's indeed the Lord Three Moons Waxing, I guess, that we have come to see. So we walk a short distance, get to an old two-story building, old but big two-story building, because it indeed has a dining hall. So he leads us into a big dining hall, but it's terribly dusty and chairs are in disrepair. And as a matter of fact, the whole thing is pretty much in heavy disrepair. Before we sit down to eat, Clintock complains about being wet, and our host decides, yes, he will give us a few minutes to dry off and change. So we do that and come back. Karn asks about there being armor and is told, well, there is armor, but only if you pledge to me as a knight, which of course Karn gets his rant in about Cuthbert, and that goes nowhere. But we have a nice dinner with fairy wine.
You don't know that it went nowhere.
What?
Planting the seeds of Cuthbert is a slow and arduous task, but you don't know that went nowhere.
Yeah. We have a nice dinner, including some fairy wine, which gives us a nice mental effect of sorrow as fades in the background. Orion wonders why we're here, and Orion mentions our quest to get to the Infinite Road and also our little mothball problem. And we are told that both problems can be solved, at least theoretically, in the Dolmenwood, because indeed there is a gate to the Infinite Road in the Dolmenwood, and there is a Elysian well in the Dolmenwood that will wash off the hag stick. So great, we got options. We have to follow the lighthouses, as he said. Follow the lighthouses south for 3 days, and we will get to the Dolmenwood. Our host also says that he used to rule over parts of the Dolmenwood, but got kicked out by the hags, and so he's really teed off at the hags. And it's probably, that's probably why he was helping us out so much when he found out we're trying to get rid of them. In any case, the other odd thing that we find out is the Ape Empire consulted him on the strange fungus, and he brings one out and shows it to us. And we ask him what it does, and he says instead, well, here, try this apple that the Ape Empire gave me. So a couple of us try the apple and find out that when you do, the mood towards the Ape Empire shifts towards a more neutrality. Apparently, the fungus does pretty much the same thing. So if you plant something edible and people go out and eat it regularly, they will be more relaxed towards the Ape Empire. It sounds like they're planning on invading, etc. In any case, Felix decides after a bit that yes, indeed, Felix asks what it would take to swear to 3 moons waxing, and he finds out it isn't very onerous. He has to come with call when called. He has to strike against the hags if he possibly can. And he'll get all sorts of nice things, particularly the cobalt blue plate mail, if he does so. So we have a nice little swearing ceremony where Felix swears to the Lord and is named 7 Steps at Dawn. Sounds like a dueling term, actually. Yeah, dawn duel, take 7 steps, turn around. So if the moon is out and with no clouds, Felix gets several nice little advantages.
With the armor and it's clear and it's moon, the moon is out.
So you can actually have moonlight, right? Okay, so we are told again in the morning that indeed we want to go to a place called Mager's Reach, and the way to get to the Dolmenwood is to follow the lighthouse. Always follow the lighthouse. Do not go stray from the light. It sounds like a Cuthbert episode. All right. Unfortunately, as we get on the road, we find out that apparently something has changed or gone wrong, or who knows. Somebody forgot to tell us about the freaking snowstorm that we're plowing through. We have to do a con check. Some fail, some succeed. We go through several hours. We're following the lighthouse, and it seems like an almost timeless event. So we're trying to figure out whether we should take a few minutes and camp or not, but end up deciding to go onwards. However, along the way, we meet an odd group of really varied people. I mean, it's like everyone from a different strange background. None of them have consistent stories about how they got here. And as a matter of fact, Clintock figures out they're not even internally consistent. If you ask a guy for his story and then ask again an hour later, he tells a completely different story. So obviously they are out of it. So we finally get to the lighthouse and are met by a goat man who is very friendly and invites us into the great fire. And, you know, the only odd thing is he has an animal heart around his neck. Who knows what that is. But John Tor loves him because he offers us some turnip ale. And John Tor, of course, immediately starts talking brewing with the guy. Along the way and in the lighthouse, we've indeed meet the fungus dwarf, Remo Mater, who has told us that his life's ambition is to build a mechanical mouse organ clock. Yep, that's his life's ambition. So apparently not only does he look funny, but there's fungus growing in his brain too. We managed to have a night over, take the edge off. The next morning, the whole strange group tries to follow us, which we decide not to worry too much about because, you know, the old saying about you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the slowest person. And these people are indeed slow, at least mentally, if not anything else. And I think that's it. Did I miss any details?
No, there was an exchange about asking how long these people were out here, and they gave you different answers, and then you asked them an hour later, and they'd give you a completely different answer. You asked the lighthouse keeper, who is a Brego, which is a goat person, how long he'd been here. I believe he said 70 years or 100 years, and the storm or this blowing wind, blizzard, this cold had been here for like 70 years. So there wasn't any chance it was probably going to let up. There was an exchange between Clintock and Nickelbach, who is the lighthouse keeper, about his turnip ale. And he was able to trade for a piece of wood because you realize he's only throwing a couple of logs of this wood onto the fire, and it's burning really hot. And I think somebody followed him up the top at one point and noticed that the light there is some kind of, maybe it's a magic light that's just lighting up the actual lighthouse that you can see. You got a piece of that wood from him so you can like make a fire.
Clintock followed up and pushed his luck a little and managed to convince him to give 2 pieces. And Clintock even offered to take a second thing of turnip ale off of his hands and go and take it with the first one. We're supposed to introduce the town to the beauties and wonders of turnip ale.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
thinks
bargain.
it's, yeah, and it tastes just like what you think turnip ale would taste like.
John Doer's happy.
Amazing.
So yeah, you're resting that night. So for Zofan, Tobias Eddington had caught you before you guys left and, wanted to start some training, get some training program in. So you helped him out, got him that quick regiment to get started and said that you would take a boat later.
You know, that would explain the level up that I failed to do because his AC went up. And I'd imagine part of that training regimen was Tobias just hucking potatoes at Zofan. And he managed to at least to some extent get hit with enough potatoes to beef up, or he at least dodged them. He was able to, you learned to dodge tomatoes, you can dodge, or potatoes, you can dodge arrows, as well as broadsword hits. Those concepts kind of apply.
Those are exactly the same.
So you took that way, same deal. You were in a boat rowing, you and Basil and Zofan in a smaller boat. You get to the shore, you meet Lord Three Moons Waxing, you meet the harbor master, Mortimer Whitefish, and the little cat person, Kitty, and the ape, Leaf, whose name is Leaf, who was help pulling in the boat. And he, Lord Three Moons Waxing mentions that your friends have just left. You have a short discussion. He gives you directions about how to get there. He gives you a bit of information, which I will give to you right now. As he's like, oh, this is something I remembered. I should probably tell you.
It's good to see you. I mean, it's good to see you. Thank you for all your help.
You're quite welcome. And you notice that it's cloudy, and then every time the moon breaks through the clouds and hits his cloak and stuff, it shimmers and everything. And
every time that happens, Zofan can't help but to say you're beautiful, even if he's mid-sentence. Just the moment it shimmers, he's just wow, you're beautiful. What were you saying?
Wow.
Oh, he certainly knows that. And he says that your compatriots and one of his new knights has gone traversing through the Toadflax. And he says there's a lighthouse. And once you enter, just follow, stay on the path, go to the lighthouse.
I can certainly do that. I mean, I can do that. Do you have all I have are potatoes. And while I enjoy potatoes, I could do you have would you be willing to spare any other sort of rations uh for the journey? Because I'm just guessing that Tobias would not even dream of sending off a trainee without enough potatoes for traveling.
Yeah, Tobias would definitely have a sack of potatoes to hand you.
Yeah. So after eating there's raw potatoes in the boat for a while, like Elfan's a little over it.
Yes.
Little.
So the Lord will give you a to-go basket, some almond pudding, and some fermented beets and radishes.
Oh, right, the fermented beets and radishes. That was dinner.
Man, that sounds great. That sounds like what I eat.
You know, on the other hand, this terribly rocky ground that they've got around here is should be pretty darn good to grow potatoes. So honestly, Lord Three Moons Waxing is worried about farming. Potatoes might actually be a good crop in this local soil. I don't know about the weather. It's not cold as hell at his place, is it?
At the Lord Three Moons Waxing, every once in a while that cold wind would shoot right through.
Right, but it's not cold all the time.
No.
Yeah, I mean, as a sign of solidarity, Zofan will certainly part with a couple potatoes.
Okay. Yeah, he appreciates that.
He might even plant one if he gets the chance.
You also know from the Lord Three Moons Waxing is that he was in the Dolmenwood at one time. He enjoys entreating with mortals, and he was kicked out by a fairy court. The reason he got kicked out by the fairy court is from these hags, and you suddenly realize that it's the same hags that you ran into. And he says that he's been banished all the way up here, and he cannot, he doesn't make his way back into the Dolmenwood. And he says that the Dolmenwood is where the land of fairy meets the land of gates, or what you will call the infinite road. Zofan and Basil Bessex make their way like through this archway he says, go through that archway. And once you hit the archway, it looks very dark. And then all of a sudden you're in a blinding snowstorm. The wind is blowing and you can see a light in the distance, and it just seems to get further and further as you're going. And as you're about 6 hours in, freezing your ass off, somebody kind of runs bumps into you and hands you a rope and begins to put the rope around each of you and starts pulling you.
The group with Zofan or Zofan?
No, this is just you and Zofan and Basil. You guys are like, holy crap, when are we ever going to get to this light? We've been trudging for how long? And this person who's just covered in snow just comes up to you and hands you a rope. And it's really even hard to communicate because the wind blows it's so loud, and he ties it to himself, and he just kind of trudges through the snow, like pulling you along almost. And then all of a sudden you come up to like a wood door, and opens the door, and he pulls you in, and you're at the lighthouse. And the rest of you would hear the door open at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And Basil and Zofan come in shivering, covered in snow. And this third person who's got they're covered in snow, obviously. They come trudging in, and he's got like friar's robes on, like that kind of look. And he, pulls down his hood, and his hair is like miscut. Like he probably cuts his own hair. It's all jacked up. And he begins to take off his robes, and he shakes all the snow off and like drapes it over the stone railing to dry off because it's so hot. And you can see like an amulet hanging down from his neck with a key around it. And he just kind of looks and sees everybody in there. And the Bregel wakes up, and Lurg says, "Oh, Friar Fieldgrave, you've arrived." He's like, "Yeah, I'm freezing. Oh my gosh, I picked up 2 more."
Oh, thank you. I wasn't expecting a snowstorm.
You can thank the Cold Prince for that.
He sounds like a real ice queen.
Well, he says, "Welcome to Frolicking Light."
Basil is like looking for the Frolicking Light.
Yeah, you really don't notice, but there is there's a round like walkway. Everything is stone. It's probably like 12 feet across, and in the middle is a fire, and it is just going. The flames are. You look down. You can look down. It's probably like 6 feet down, but the flames are shooting up above of this railing.
Both Basil and Zofan would immediately go to the fire.
Okay.
Hoping that it's one of those fires that emanates actual heat and isn't just for show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's heat. You can feel it.
And then Basil is like, as he starts to warm up, he's like, "You wouldn't happen to have a pull-up bar somewhere around here? I missed some training while I was traveling, and I need to make it up."
Oh, well, if you're not careful, you will catch cold. But since it's wet and cold out there, and he points at going up. So there's a ladder that goes all the way to the top of the light. And then there's also this other ladder that's kind of like on wheels that you can move around. And there's all these shelves that are at different points. And the friar's like, you could just grab onto one of those shelves and do your exercises, I guess.
Okay, now we're talking. And Basil's gonna go start doing pull-ups.
Okay.
You know, he's doesn't want to. He's already missed enough training.
One-armed.
Yeah, he'll alternate.
Okay. Good.
So that's what Basil will be doing, and Zofan is just going to be warming up. You know, maybe request some tea or some hot beverage.
Okay. Yeah. The Braggle, the goat man, comes over and he hands you some hot turnip ale. Here you go.
Not only is he doing turnip ale, he's serving it warm.
It's got
Oh gosh,
a unique flavor profile. I'm just assuming I'm assuming that this is like camping coffee. Like it's good because you're camping, but it's not good coffee.
Yeah.
You know, it's good because he's cold, but that's about it.
And the friar starts to you see him look around and he spots like the stores of wood that are on various shelves, and it looks like he's counting them. And then he kind of looks around and he says, "Lurk, you're short one piece of wood." And Lurk's like, "Look, they're going to take," and he points over to Clintock. "They're going to take we're the fairy knight as well. We're the knight. A knight has come in, the 7 steps to dawn, and they're going to take extra turnip ale." And he's like, "What? No.
Good sir. We are just trying to spread this fantastic ale that our purveyor of this comfortable fire and space has given us this evening. And we thought it was a gratitude and honor, and he offered up the additional wood for our travels because it will require us more effort to make it there."
Well, I see you've made it here. That's good. I spotted you earlier. I was hoping you would make it to the light." And he looks at the collection of the other people that you ran into. He says, "I was leading them this way as well." He kind of looks at you, kind of stares at you. He says, "How long have you been traversing through Toadflax?"
I couldn't tell you to be sure. It felt like forever, but I think these people have experienced more forever than us. So I don't know what you were doing guiding them. Maybe you needed some extra wood with you.
No, it is sometimes my burden, but it is also my duty to do such things. I'm leading the lost out of here.
Oh, they are lost.
I'm not lost. I was just found. As he's
Basil, Zofan. So glad you could make it.
You see Basil just doing one-handed pull-ups, and he just waves at the other hand. "Hey, Clintock." Assuming it's Clintock speaking.
Yeah.
"Hi, Clintock. It's cold. I'm just warming up the muscles."
Do you see we have a new knight in our ranks? You'll note that Felix is currently sleeping in his plate mail that he just got. He's felt away from the armor for a while, so.
That's right.
Oh, poor guy. He misses his armor.
So
Sir, man, he would be torn with jealousy, right?
So the friar just kind of looks over your group as he's like shirtless now, just taking off his clothes because they're like soaking wet. And he says, "I guess I have to cut more of the red bud."
I'll ask the friar, what's up with those guys? And I'll wave at the other group. I mean, their memories don't seem right.
"And how long have you been traversing through Toadflax?"
Just a day.
So the friar notices John Tor. The friar taps you on the shoulder. Says, "Oh, okay. Are you? I see that you are elven."
Yes.
"Oh, don't get many elves that traverse through Toadflax. At least those who are not serving the Cold Prince." But
Yeah, no, I'm family L'Oreal. They're way the heck out towards I don't know my directions around here. This place is all crazy. But yeah, I'm family L'Oreal, and I don't serve the Cold Prince.
Good. Elves are usually hardier out here than, as he kind of looks at your group. He says, "The rest of these mortals, you may have to help me get them through the gate at the last lighthouse."
Oh, sure. I want to get out of here just as much as anybody. This place is crazy. I mean, I guess you could do freeze distilling, but otherwise, this is really bad for distilling out here. Of course, you can't grow anything.
You can't. Have you experienced traveling through Toadflax before?
No, this is our first time. I'm with the
Okay.
rest of those guys. I'll sort of wave my fingers around at the rest of the crowd there.
But what part of Fairy do you originate from?
Fairy? I told
Yes.
you, real world. Not the fairy in real. That's not what I mean. Sorry. But yeah, I guess you call it a mortal kingdom.
Well, just say, just keep an eye on your friends. They look. He looks at the rest. They look mortal, and don't be surprised if they step through the gate and turn to bones. So, but you should be fine.
We've only been here a day. Oh, right. Everybody has memory problems. No, you can ask them later. It'll be the same story.
Don't worry, I'm here to guide those who are lost back to the mortal world. They will receive a proper burial, just like that rest of that group will.
So wait a minute. If you stay here forever, you keep living until you come out and then time catches up with you?
Well, eventually, the cold and the wind, you succumb to it, unless some other creature gets you, and then the cold prince's frost elves come and round you up, and you become part of his legions. Doesn't take very long to succumb. He kind of points to the group that you came in with. He says, they are long gone. I'm just leading them out to give them a proper burial.
Man, that's so morbid. That's terrible.
My duty to take those who are lost.
Oh, wait a minute. Lost. You should talk to that Cardin guy. Are you a Cuthbertite too?
Did somebody say Cuthbert?
Is he saying like? Is he talking about all of us? Like, is he referring to us as dead? Is he talking about a different group that like they're already dead?
From what I understand, he thinks all of us have been out here longer than we have, and of course the other group, that's certainly true.
People that have been out here for 70 years, when they cross over that threshold, that 70 years will catch up with them.
That's bitch.
So, Card, do you go over there? I mean, I'm sure once you hear Cuthbert spoken.
Oh yeah, I'm right there. So they have the you've heard the wonderful word of Cuthbert, and you've been saved, I take it.
I'm not familiar with is he one of the 100 saints of the one true God?
Exactly.
Well, I
So
apologize.
you have heard of him. Oh, you haven't?
He may be a lesser saint. I'm unsure. Have you heard of Saint Godwin? As he shows you his amulet, it looks like a person praying. Have you heard of Saint Godwin?
Is this somebody that Karn would have known about? No. Okay. To be honest, it is a saint that is beyond my knowledge. I am in the service of Cuthbert.
Yes. You can see him like racking his brain, trying to think.
Here, I have a pamphlet.
Oh, God.
And he begins to give him a primer on Cuthbert.
Yeah, he kind of takes it out. He's looking at it. He's like, yes, when I get some time, I will check on this Cuthbert.
Perhaps you can tell me about this Godwin of yours.
Yes, I certainly would. But I have to go get a couple more pieces of the redbud, and then return here and head up to the second light. We can't linger here too long.
So are you headed out today? The more the merrier.
I will lead you all the way to the third light and make sure that you make it to the Dolmenwood.
Wonderful. Johnsworth leans in and puts his arm on the friar's shoulders and goes, I'll share some of my wine because I gotta tell you, the turnip ale just doesn't cut it.
Yes, some wine would be good. He puts his stuff back on. It's still, kind of wet, dripping, and he grabs like a hatchet that's laying by the side of the door, and the wind blowing. He trudges back out there, and he leaves. Probably about 45 minutes later, he comes back with like 3 cut pieces of wood. It's very difficult to find the red buds out here, but this one was dead, so obviously. And he looks at you and he says, in Fairy, they frown on cutting trees down, especially when they're living.
Oh, wait a minute. So they got the same thing about trees that Karn has about animals?
Well, the trees are fairly sentient. When the cold prince came through, the redbuds slowly began to die.
What is with this guy? He sounds like such a bummer.
He once controlled the Dolmenwood many years ago, but was removed.
Wait a minute. We met another guy who said he was with the Dolmenwood but got kicked out. Lord Three Moons Waxing.
Yes, he's a distant shore. I've heard of him. Yeah, he is not of the level of the Cold Prince. His was rather recent, as far as mortals go. The Cold Prince was kicked out hundreds and hundreds of years ago. He still wishes to return to the Dolmenwood and reign.
What was he kicked out for? Do you recall?
I'm not sure. There are legends, but he was turning the Dolmenwood some sort of frozen tundra, and he was very cruel to mortals.
I could see that.
But we should proceed to the second light, Redhare Light. It is but a day. Hopefully, we will get there. And he starts to round up the rest of the other people.
It's still 5 a.m. Like he came in at 4, went out, talked for a few minutes, went out, got some wood for about an hour. So yeah, it's like 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's more like 6, but still, it's early. Yeah.
Contor's like, do we have to get started so early?
Yes, we do.
Do my best at this hour of the morning.
And Karn slaps him on the back
boy.
and says, "Early to bed and early to wise will make an elf. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Basil,
And perhaps a little less of the wine before you sleep."
you hear Basil say, "Truth, brother," as he's like now moved on to push-ups.
You training fanatics are crazy.
No, it's called focused.
Look, I've been traveling all night, and I'm just starting to warm up. Before we go to the Dolmenwood, can I get a little rest?
Fair enough. Yes, I sort of drugged you for a while. Yeah, we can take a rest here for a couple hours. Guess then my clothes will fully dry. But after that, we need to be on our way. The longer we stay here, the more danger we're in.
Who's gonna come knocking down the door? I mean, the Cold Prince, sure, but does he often come knocking, or what? What
Cold
danger
Prince,
is he
no.
in?
The frost elves are always a threat, but hopefully we can avoid them. There are other things that lurk here in the cold, in this frozen coast.
Well, I appreciate the couple hours respite, and he's gonna look for like a bedroll.
Some cloaks and pieces of blankets that have been cut up and stuff, and you can just kind of like lay down. And
Yeah.
again, the friar just kind of strips off down to his bleach clout, and just tries to dry out. And he kind of sits on the floor and see him meditating. Is anybody going to do anything in like the 2 hours he's chilling?
Basil might take a rest as well.
Okay.
Karn is sharpening his sword and praying.
John Tor and Orion look over at the crazies and hit the sack again.
Yeah.
Basil probably does the same thing.
These people are all too intense.
2 hours pass. The friar Fieldgrave gets his clothes back on and gathers his little flock together. That you realize that you may have run into him earlier when you ran into that group, because there were 9 people. But then when you got there, you realized, oh wow, there's only 8. But consider how cold it was, and so he may have like slipped away to look for more or something. But the friar kind of gathers you all up and realizes you were using that rope, and he makes sure everybody's tied to a couple ropes. Are you going to take the canisters of turnip ale with you?
Oh yeah, we said we would.
And head out. The wind again is whipping, and you kind of like maneuver around the lighthouse, making a path. Your group has got a rope, and then their group has got a rope, all tied to each other. And who's the first person in your group? Who would be the best out here?
Karn would try to, but I don't know if he's the best.
Yeah, I was going to say, in this, if we're actually breaking trail, then the smart thing to do is to rotate. One person breaks trail for an hour or so, and then they're tired, and then next person, et cetera, et cetera. So
Okay.
if that's what we're doing, I assume that's about what we're doing.
Yeah, there's kind of like a path that you can sort of kind of see. And the friar will go in the middle to make sure that nobody, that second group doesn't get lost, and kind of keep an eye on you guys. So let's see. Dustin, give me a D6 roll. Start with some random rolling.
6.
So everybody make a con roll. And for those who have a negative, you add it to the roll.
Both Clintock and Felix pass.
Okay,
Karn
good.
makes it. Holy shit, Basil Wilberforce made it with a 3.
Yeah, John Tor and Orion both make it.
Surprisingly, both Basil and Zofan make it.
So everybody made it.
Yeah.
I don't think Tamul's con. So Tamul does not make it. He's lagging behind. So that's just 2 hours in. So it's the snow is pretty deep. It takes a lot of effort. Like again, that wind is whipping. It's hard to hear, hard to communicate. At the end of the 2 hours, the friar kind of moves past you guys to make sure you're headed in the right direction. Then he kind of hustles back to the other group and makes sure that they are following as well. And we go to Paul, who gets to roll another d6 roll.
2,
Hey, finally we get something. All right, Paul, give me a 2d6 roll.
a 5, and a 1.
6.
Yeah, I didn't know if it mattered if they were adding up or whatever.
Okay. No, that's fine. That works perfect. Very good. All right, so you guys are trekking. You're another hour in.
Okay.
Going through the snow. And the wind is whipping. It's cold. There's snow. And there's a shitload of you. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 9 of you guys and 8 of them. You hear a noise. You faintly hear a noise behind you, like somebody a muted scream, and we will roll initiative.
I can go
Yeah.
first with my +2 with a total of 3. So we're starting off good terms.
All right, I rolled a 6. So you kind of hear like somebody yell like "No!" like that. So it's kind of it cuts through a little bit of the wind, and it makes you kind of turn, and you can see behind you some huge creature, probably like 10 feet tall, has just grabbed somebody from the other group, and the other ones are like hanging on by the rope. I rolled to see who he went after, and he had a surprise round, and it wasn't you.
Thank goodness.
So as he grabs one and then takes his club and just mashes another one who just goes limp like this, and everybody, they're all yelling, and the friar is just trying to make his way to try to stop this thing, and you guys are up.
How many figures can we see? Is it just one?
There could have been more, and I rolled just one.
So Wilberforce shouts out, "If we just let it have the back 1 or 2, the rest of us can probably run."
Felix unties himself from the rope and says, "Time to test my new blade." And then if he can get there in a turn, he's going to make a charge for this thing.
Yeah, we'll say you can do that.
All right. Oh, nat 20.
Okay, nice. All right, what's the damage on that?
It's a D8, so 8 plus, is it 8 plus a roll? Is that what
8
it is?
plus the die roll, yeah.
5. So
Yeah, I just rolled his hit points, and yeah, you killed him. So tell me how he dies. It is like a 10-foot tall ogre-like creature. You can see he's got warts and stuff all over his body, and he's got kind of black horns and a big bulbous nose.
He does like a large sweeping arc carrying snow from, I assume it's pretty high up, carrying snow up over the blade and just like literally splits him in 2. Most of the way, not entirely.
Yeah, of course. Gotta leave some for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Or, Felix can just kill it. Karn turns around, huh? What?
Yeah, it slumps to the ground dead, and the friar just kind of picks up the broken body of one of the other group members.
The cold iron finds its source and its strength in this temps.
The friar looks at you. Very good work. Thank you. St. Godwin appreciates this.
No saints, only the blade.
Yes. So the person who was supposedly a town crier was kind of an older man. You can see he just crushed his entire chest, like he caved it in, and he's just like limp on the rope. And the friar just kind of starts to do the rope and like tie him into it. So he just, so to drag him along, cannot leave him behind. And of course, then the body, the ogre's body starts to stink, and you realize there's a sack laying right next to him.
Loot the corpse.
Yeah, I'll give you. Wes, give me a D6 roll.
5.
Another D6 roll.
1.
Wow. Okay. All right. So the sack you can see is frozen. He kind of had it like tied to his waist, and you can see that there's like some fresh meat in there, but it's obviously so cold it's frozen. But there is something else among the fresh meat. Grab my book, because there was a 1 in 6 chance it could have been a magic item in there, and you rolled a 1.
Special herbs and spices.
Always makes it finger looking good.
Yeah.
What an ogre has in his sack, I'm like, I'm not sure we want to eat that.
D100 roll.
Yeah.
Being cannibalistic.
23.
So amongst the fresh meat is some kind of mask that covers the eyes and the nose, and it looks like it's got feathers and something on it, and the eyepieces are really dark, and there's like a strap that you put. You probably discern that it's probably some kind of magical properties, considering the condition it's in. It's got some snow and stuff on it, but it seems to be in pretty good shape.
Who wants to try it?
Well,
Orion volunteers Dontor by gently shoving him to the front. Sure, I'll try it. Ryan's always giving me nice things because the last thing Ryan gave John for was the glowing dentures. So
Okay. All right.
John will put it on.
Okay. So
Well,
everybody give me a D6 roll except for John Tor. All right. So did anybody roll a 1 or 2? Zofan rolled a 1, right? And Orion rolled a 2.
Right.
So you see John Tor put these glasses on, and it's like for everybody except Basil, Bessex, and Orion, they're like, okay, where did he go? He like blends into the background.
Ryan says, take off the mask. Is he invisible or just hidden?
I think it's just your eyes, Clintock said.
Okay, so Orion will tell John Tor that it helps you hide, but it's not perfect because some of these people could see you and some could, but it does help hide.
Okay.
That could come in handy, especially when wanting to create an alibi.
Especially when
Some people would see you do something and some others wouldn't.
John Tor reveals his stupidity by going, why would that matter? I mean, I don't try to hide things I do.
It's more for the some other people in the group.
Somebody else want this? I mean, not my thing, really. And he waves it around.
I would suggest Clintock or Basil W for something like that.
Clintock just says to Basil W, I think it's quite fashionable. I think I've seen people in the cities wear this.
Oh, really? Wow.
I mean, I would take it, but it's not in my size.
What do you think, John Tor? You think it looked good on me?
Oh, sure. I mean, it looked good on anybody, right? That's what it's supposed to do.
I was just thinking that sounds like something that a thief could really use. Of course, then again, a thief can try to hide in shadows and somebody else can't, right?
Yeah, and John Tor is truly clueless about that sort of thing. It's like, why would anybody want to hide what they're doing?
Basil's like, I bet I can get away with picking lots of pockets like this.
Okay. So you're going to wear them?
He doesn't always. No, he's gonna have them ready to put on.
Okay. That's fine.
Like he ties it around his head instead of dropping it down over his eyes or whatever, and says, or like sort of like wears them up here.
Okay.
And says, "Can everybody see me?"
You
so
look exquisite.
So
How
basically,
about now?
so basically, when you're wearing them, there's a 3 in 6 chance that somebody will not see you.
Okay.
Some of the other groups like, oh, that's some food. Maybe we should take that food. And the friar's like, no, just leave that here. You don't need that. I rolled for his hit points and it was really low. So one shot did him in. You guys start heading back up the pass, back through the snow and the wind. Let's see. We can stop the share and go. Russell, give me a D6 roll. Actually,
4.
D8 roll.
And that is a 6.
Okay. So you guys again follow, headed in the direction of that light that you can faintly see. And who is in the front now?
Felix will offer to take lead in the front, bolstered by his kill and his shiny new armor and sword.
Okay. So you are trudging, you're leading the way, and then kind of out of the snow whipping around and stuff, you catch what looks like a goat standing in your path.
Goat. Nothing.
Yeah, its horns are kind of like twirled like this, and it stares at you with its red eyes. Give me save versus spell.
Never a good thing.
I'm gonna take my reroll.
Your hustle point? That's a wise choice.
Okay. Save the second time.
Okay.
I'll shout back to the group. There's a fearsome looking goat up ahead. Let me take care of it.
All right. And we'll roll initiative.
Right.
I rolled a 2.
I rolled a 6. So.
All right. So yeah, you're up first. It kind of like you were caught in its gaze for a second, and then you made you feel uneasy. All right, you guys are up first.
Felix will lead the charge.
Okay.
Does a 16 hit
Oh yeah.
for 8 damage.
Oof.
Roll.
Yeah. You put a huge hack into this thing, and like black ichor starts to ooze out and gets stuck in its fur.
He just says, "Back down, gross beast."
All right. Who's next?
Orion's going to spin up a sling stone. I mean, he thinks Felix's new status is going to his head or something, because fighting shit alone is just not smart, especially in fairies with all the crazy crapola. Let's see. He rolls a 16, total plus 3, 19.
That's a hit.
That's a 2.
Okay. Boom. Hits him. He's still up.
John Tor, he's confused. Felix said, I'll deal with it, and then Orion hits it anyway. So John Tor's going to take his spear and go up and sort of menace the thing and push it, try to help Felix get an opening, but he's not actually going to attack.
All right.
Yeah, didn't Felix said he'd handle this?
Orion's like, it's an opponent. It dies.
Clintock is adding up in his head how much he thinks the value of the sword and plate mail are currently.
Oh, is that what you want to do? You want to stock one character with the inventory remains of the other character.
Sell it to the paladin. Yeah, Karn's not going to let this go without getting into this fight.
Okay.
He'll run up, no armor. He don't care. Him and die a sword.
All right.
I got a 12 plus 2 plus.
That's a hit.
Oh wow. Okay. E8 6.
Tell me how it does.
He just overhand smashes it down between those glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
Cleaves the head in two.
It lets out a high-pitched bleat noise.
And then he feels bad because of that.
And the friar is like rushing up. He sees something going on, and well done. Let's push this aside. We need to be moving.
There's one thing this crew is good at, it's hacking and slashing.
Felix says to Karn, that was unnecessary, but thanks anyways.
What? You think that I wasn't going to get into the fight? I've been locked up in a cage for a while. Gotta knock the dust off my limbs.
Fair enough. Always good to have your blade at my back.
As long as it's not in it, right?
Yes.
So he kind of grabs it by its horns and just kind of like pushes it to the side of the path. Just kind of like throws some snow and stuff over it.
Orion will go ask the friar, what's a devil goat?
They're usually guardians of ceremonial mounds or something, but I don't know why this one is here. He could be lost. Let's hope. We don't need a herd of these things running around.
Okay, yeah.
Are they good to eat? The people back there seem to be hungry.
They don't need food, trust me. So yeah, took care of that. That was
What a question. I will ask the friar, do we need food in this?
kind of looks at you like, yes, you're mortal. I mean, you do need to eat.
Okay.
So I would say you'd probably deduct, I don't know how many rations you brought with you, but yeah, you have deducted some rations from last evening's. Whatever you
Okay.
brought with you, I mean.
So far, 2 days worth.
Well, you got some food from the Lord, and then this is the
Yeah.
first day that you stayed the night. So at least one, and then wherever you end up tonight. Wes, give me a D6 roll as we move on here.
5.
All right, so nothing else. You do realize, like, as you're moving around, you go past some what looks like structures. It's hard to see because there's so much snow, but you're guessing they're docks to like on the water or something. And you pass them. It's about 4 hours. Some of the snow isn't as deep in some of these spots. It gets a little bit easier, but you do make a con roll.
Right. Oh boy, how much luckier can I get? Karn barely makes it.
Both
Yes.
of mine made it.
Basil Wilberforce did not.
All right, so you're a -2, and Tamul is a -3.
Felix and Clintock both made it.
Okay.
Basil made it. Zofan didn't.
Basil made it, Zofan didn't. So it's at -1, and Basil Wilberforce is at -2. Right? Yeah. Okay. We're back to the top of the lap. So Dustin, give me a D6 roll.
That's a 2.
2D12, 2D6.
All right. 5.
So the light, again, as you guys are looking into the sky, the light doesn't seem to get any closer, but the friar assures you each time, goes up and says, we're getting closer. Don't worry, we're getting closer to this light. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's the way it was last time. It didn't seem like it got any closer, and then suddenly we were there.
And everybody makes another con roll as you're trekking for the next 5 hours.
Dang it.
Both Clintock and Felix fail this one.
Karn makes it with a 4.
John Tor fails, Orion makes.
Basil makes it with a 2. I used the wrong dice the last time. Some of these dice, man, that I bought out of this 6-pack, some of them just deathly low they roll.
Wow. Poor Tamul. Tamul does not look, he rolled a nat 20.
Oof.
Oh!
So I got Clintock -1, John Tor -1, Felix -1, Zofan, did he make it?
Nope.
He is -2, and Basil Wilberforce.
He made it.
He is just -1. So yeah, the cold and the snow, and this is
Sorry, Basil Bessex made it.
Basil
Basil.
W made it too.
okay.
With the 2.
That's right. Basil W is at -2. Basil Bessex at -1.
I thought he healed up by 1. You got me excited.
Oh, sorry. You're going along the shore. It's like I said, long trek, and there's the mounds of snow. and then you get to a point where you can kind of see where the land kind of jets out, and there's some rocks that are exposed, and then there is a building with a light. You can actually see the lighthouse. It's probably 100 meters away. The other lighthouse is basically just the lighthouse itself. This looks like it's got like a little bit of a structure next to it. It's like snow and stuff, and you can see it smoking because there's probably a fire coming from out of there. And as you approach, out of the snow looks like these frozen, they look frozen, but they're not, fish people kind of like pop out of the snow to come after you, and we will roll initiative.
Fish people in the snow.
Yeah, they look very, very cold, but they're alive. So remember, you've got your negatives when you roll. I rolled a 4. Is there somebody in the group that doesn't have a negative? I think Orion's the only one.
Yeah, Orion's good for a +1 at least. I rolled a 6.
So is Karn.
Okay, you guys are up.
How close are they?
There's 3 on one side and 2 on the other. They popped up right next to your group.
Zofan is going to, I mean, we're all roped up, right?
Yep.
But so he's gonna get himself off the rope, and since we can see the lighthouse, it's right here. He's going to begin cartwheeling as he pulls out Chi Hai.
Okay.
And he's gonna try to fillet this fish. That's a fail. He does not hit. No.
Okay. They don't have much of an AC, but
I rolled a 5, so
okay, yeah.
Not even the side of a barn.
yeah. For all the fancy footwork, Chi Hai still goes wide.
That's your attack.
Basil Essex sees food. Actually, no, he sees protein, and he's going to try to get the protein.
Okay.
He knows that this lighthouse is like the last one. There's a warm fire that he can cook it in. He's gonna hit to kill, but not to damage the meat.
Not to damage the fish fillet. Great.
Basil breaks free, and that's Basil's got -1. So that would be 13.
Well, he's got a -1 from the cold, but he's also, I believe, at a minus from his concussion.
I thought everybody but Zofan healed.
Let me check. I'm checking my chart here. No, Basil Bessett's still concussed, so he's that's a total of -3.
So yeah, it's an 11.
Yeah, just misses. You're trying to be a little bit delicate. You don't want to completely screw this over.
Yeah, he was too ginger.
Mm-hmm.
And Basil, like, he misses. He looks back, knowing that Felix now has this amazing blade. He's like, "Hurry, Felix, it's dinner."
Felix says, "I don't even need my pole for this one." And 14, I believe, hits, right?
Yep.
8.
Okay, I'm gonna roll a d6. Okay, it doesn't help me. That's the one you hit. All right. So yeah, you skewer that one. It's still alive. You break through its frozen scales. So these guys look like just picture a fish, but they have arms and legs. So they got that tail and everything.
Yeah.
As long as they don't sing, I think we're good.
All right, who's next?
Karn can go after whatever's closest to him.
Which weapon are you using? Is that the cold iron weapon?
Yeah, the Hemadiah sword.
No. I'm sorry, for Felix, right?
Oh, yes, the cold iron is what I was
Okay,
using.
that does an extra 1 point of damage to them, so it's a 9. Okay. All right, go ahead, Karn. Sorry. Which one are you attacking?
Whatever's closest.
I'm just gonna make a roll random. Okay, that's the one. That is.
And I got a 15 plus his modifier.
Yep, that's a hit.
That hits already. All right, 4
Okay,
plus strength, right? 5.
5. Okay. Yep. Frozen scales come slopping off.
And Basil W will aim at the same one with his arrow.
Okay.
To back up Karn's play. Because he figures Karn doesn't have armor, he needs help. All right, so I got a 12, and I get a +2 for my Sacco, but I'm at -2 or -3. I'm at
Yeah,
minus.
so you're at -2, so you got straight up 12.
It's straight up 12, and then my dex, it makes it 13.
That's a hit.
Okay, 4 points.
Yeah, it's barely alive.
John Tor will attempt to do things at his -1, and he will run up with his spear and try to take on the same one. Rolls a 19.
Yep.
3 damage.
All right. You can tell me how it dies.
Since the 2 of those guys were basically facing it front, John Tor had to head around the side in order to get to it, and he spears it right through the virtual neck, like in one gill and out the other. Just
perfect.
Yeah, and it's just like, tastes like chicken, and it drops to the ground.
Okay, Orion's going to roll up his sling because, 14, he's got a total of +3, so that's a 17.
That's a hit. Which one you going after?
Whichever's closest. We
Okay.
killed the only one that's taking damage, right?
No, another one that's taking damage. Felix hit it, but I don't know if you want to get into that.
No, Orion thinks Felix's armor went to his head, so he's going after that one to try to help. 2 damage, though.
Okay, yep. That's 2 less than 10. Who's left?
Flintock.
Yep.
Can he attempt to move silently to get into position to sneak attack either this turn or next turn?
Give me a dex roll.
Okay. Success.
Okay, yes, you can do a sneak attack, yes.
All right.
Just tell me which one. It's either an injured one or 3 of the ones that haven't been injured yet.
Yeah, he's going to go after one of the ones that hasn't been injured yet.
Okay, I will roll to see which one that is.
For 14?
Yeah, that's a hit.
For 10. Or sorry, no, 11.
Tell me how it dies.
Oh, nice. He loosens up the rope and dives into the snow to get close to it, and then pops out right next to it and stabs it into one of its presumably giant fish eyes.
Yeah. There's a popping noise.
Oh,
And
Oh,
it instantly
yeah.
freezes on its face.
gross.
Is that everybody?
Yep.
I think so.
Okay, 3 guys left. Okay, so the first one is fighting Felix. It attempts to attack with a 3.
Nope.
It fails miserably. The 2 others, so one comes over and tries to bite Felix
Okay.
because, with a 7,
They bite.
and that's a fail.
Yeah.
And then another one will attack Felix because, you got to gang up on one person. And I rolled a 6. So yeah, they're flailing around. You're thinking maybe they're not adapted to the harsh, cold, frozen tundra out here, but they're doing what they can.
Felix just lets out a bellowing laugh and says, "Your scales are no match for my plate."
All right, initiative. I rolled a 4.
Karn's got a +1,
All right, go for it.
but I rolled a 1.
Oh man.
It happens.
Things aren't going very well for them. 2, 6. They're going to stay and fight. So that one goes after Felix with his spear. He attempts with a 14.
Still doesn't.
Misses. The other one's going to try to bite you.
New plate mail.
The bite. Oh, look at that. Bite. That's an 18 to hit.
That I think does. Let me just check.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, question. I think I still have my shield, but I don't know. I don't know if I lost it when I lost my armor. I thought I kept it, but
Yeah, I don't think you had your shield.
okay, then that will hit.
Is it tie?
Yeah, it's tie. Yeah, then it's a hit. I have an 18 right now.
Okay. So you take 4 damage and you save versus death.
And I save.
Which is good. I'm glad you saved. What's the P? Paralyzation. It should have been that one, but you probably saved against it anyway.
Yeah, I saved that one.
So yeah, he poisons you, but it doesn't do anything. But you take 4 hit points of damage, and then the last one will attempt to hit you with the spear, and they're back to their old ways. That's 5, so they miss. So they're ganging up on Felix.
We can't allow that.
Basil will try to punch him again. And this time, nope, that is another 11. But Zofan will try. That's also a miss. He's punching him, but it's having no effect.
Karn shouts out to Basil, says, "Perhaps someday you might try a weapon." And he'll make his attack.
The only weapons I need are right here.
Karn got a 9, but he does have +3 with strength in his Thaco to make it a 12. Is
That's
that
a hit.
enough?
You need a 12 to hit these guys. Which one you going after?
Is the one that I was after before dead?
Yeah.
Closest one I can get to.
Okay. So that's actually the one that Felix has done damage to. So go ahead.
Well, it's getting another 7 points of damage.
Yeah, you can tell me how it dies.
He just says, "Perhaps you should, try a weapon like this." And he's got the sword over his hand. He just brings it down and just spears it through the mouth and all the way down into its body. He makes a shish kebab out of it.
Yeah.
Picks it up, throws it off.
Yeah. There's like frozen fish guts all over it. There's 2 left.
Felix is going to take
Oh.
a wide swinging hack at one of them with a 17.
That's a hit.
Well, 16 with -1 for 7 damage total.
Yeah, you cut off a big section of him.
Basil W will shoot at that one.
Okay.
Picked up the wrong die and rolled a 4.
Gontar will pick the closest. Rolls a 13. He's at a -1, so that's a 12. 5 damage. And Orion will spin up his sling again and aim for whichever one looks most damaged.
Okay, the one that John Tor just hit.
Okay, damn it, 11. So miss if you're telling us they're AC 12.
Yep. All right, these two guys are up. That is the end of the round. So we go to the Inish. I rolled a 3.
Clintock will roll. Total of 5. On those grounds, he's going to try a similar move to last time. He's going to try and sneak. So he's going to roll his dex. And he does. So let's see if he hits. 15 for a total of 6 damage on the one that's already injured.
Okay, so there's two that one's Felix is
Sorry,
fighting.
the one that Felix is fighting.
Okay, it is still up. It's in bad shape. Both of them they're probably not going to make it through the round.
Felix will take another swipe at that one, and he misses.
All right.
John Doerr will try to go after the same one. It's still up. A 12 minus 1 because he's at minus 1. Yes. Orion will wheel up the sling again. And a total of 22. 3 damage.
Tell me how it dies.
It sort of got its mouth open while it's fighting, and the sling stone just goes, and you see it go, and just follow.
Nice. All right, who's next?
He'll go after the one that there's 2 left, right?
There's one that's barely
Oh.
standing. Yep.
Let's see what happens here. Oh, I do believe a 15 will hit.
Mm-hmm.
8 points of damage.
It is dead. Tell me how it dies.
He shakes off the guts and looks over at Basil and goes, "See, it's really not hard." And he just stabs it right through the chest and runs it right through, pulls it out, drags his sword through the snow so he can clean it off.
I'd rather have a clean kill than no kill at all.
So yeah, there are 5 dead like frozen fish fey creatures here. And as you look, you realize they have like these spears, but connected to the spears with these tattered ropes. If you like follow the ropes back, like through the snow, you can see that there is a hole that's been cut in the ice that will leads into the water.
Oh,
They're reverse fishing.
reverse fishing.
Felix, if he can, will try and manage 2 of them thrown over his shoulder. But if he can only manage 1, he will only do 1.
Yeah, it's not far to go. The friar comes up and assists you as you head back up to the lighthouse. And
John Doerr looks around sort of confused, like, aren't you going to leave him out here to freeze? If we take him in, they'll just start stinking. Yeah, he's clueless.
Felix just says, "The day's catch, my friend."
To see,
I
like,
swear I heard one of them talk.
Just keeps him walk.
you see almost like a cartoonish look on Basil's face as like he's licking his lips in like an anticipation.
Karn picks up one of those spears and starts tugging on the rope.
it pulls back like somebody is pulling.
Tug of war time.
Are you going to do that?
He's trying to do tug of war.
Roll under your strength.
15. All right. Piece of cake. 8.
Yeah, you pull. If you're watching that hole, you see one of those fish people come like up out of the water and then realize this is probably a bad idea. Let's go back into the water.
So now I have a spear and a rope.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys head up to this lighthouse, and the door opens, and you are greeted by an otter standing on 2 feet, looking at you, smoking a big long pipe, and he kind of blows some smoke. Come in, come in.
Felix storms in and he's like, "I'm here on behalf of Lord Three Moons Waxing."
Sure you are. Sure you are. Come in. Come in. He is otter size, so he's probably like a 1.5 feet tall. And you
Okay.
walk into this room, and everything is, made for humans. There you see someone is up on the table, like cutting something with a knife. It looks like a block of cheese or something, and it's a weasel. It turns around, and you can see it's wearing a big, thick, woolly jumper that's like too big for it. So it's rolled up the sleeves and everything. We got guests. And he's like,
I brought dinner.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't say we have food, but maybe he saw the fish, man.
they see the fish, they get excited. Those things are a problem around here. We thought we were rid of them.
Apparently not. How do they taste?
Fishy?
Walked into that one.
Yeah, Basil's just kind of you could see like his mind is moving and it's going nowhere, but he's trying to determine if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Like good fish, right?
Is there such a thing as bad fish? Felix says.
Have you ever had mudcat?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay, friend. Now we know where your taste buds are at.
I will admit, this is an acquired taste.
The weasel hops down from the table, runs over and sees all the fish that you're bringing in there, and takes out his knife, and he starts like, wiping it down. He starts hacking into it,
Nice.
cuts off a big frozen piece, and he just like starts eating it like a block of cheese. He hands it to Basil of Essex. Like, if you want some, he's eating some of it.
We've got to cook it.
What? Why you gotta do that for?
I'm not on a raw food diet.
Sushi.
I prefer my fish cooked.
And he offers it to anyone else who wants to take a piece of it.
Felix will happily eat some.
As Oscar and Wally begin to just hack these fish up, and they drag one over near their little fire they got going. They've just got like a wood stove. The friar comes in, and the rest of them are all tied together, and you noticed that the one guy who was limp, dragging him along, the town crier who had his chest caved in, is walking, and he comes walking in, and he's like looking around like he is alive.
Karn stands up and says, "By the power of Cuthbert, undead be gone."
Uh-oh.
And the friar comes over, and he's like, hold on. He's not undead.
Karn looks really confused by the fact that he hasn't been able to turn the zombie.
The whole group is kind of looking around at each other like, who undead? What are you talking about? Like, looking behind him.
It's clear it's a miracle, Karn. He's been bestowed upon himself a great healing.
That's a pretty powerful healing.
Is his chest still caved in?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are in a strange land. I'm sure that there are strange powers at work.
He can probably feel that there's no response from Cuthbert because the guy's not truly undead. He just kind of sits down quietly, flabbergasted, and stares at his fish.
All right. So,
Fishy.
Clintock said it, uneased by this, sits on the far side of the room from this person.
they all like huddle around the fire to get warm, and the friar sort of grabs them some raw fish and like cuts little tiny pieces of it to hand to them because they're asking about it, and they're just kind of eating it. You can tell he's giving them like not much of anything, just giving them enough to just keep quiet.
Ryan and John are like looking at the rest of these crazies like, what? And just they're waiting for somebody to cook it. Ryan, if he doesn't see anybody else cooking, will indeed try his hand at roasted fish or whatever.
They drug one of the fish next to the fire. The weasel and the otter, they're just doing it out of courtesy. They have zero interest in cooking this fish. So they just kind of slap it on there like, whatever. And it's huge. So it's like sitting over the fireplace, like draped against it, like it's melting and starting to smell. One of the fish is cooking on the top of the fireplace, like stove. And Oscar the otter is smoking his pipe of barley blend. Has a very it smells very sweet. He offers the pipe to everyone to puff puff pass, because he has enough for everyone in the group, because you brought them this wonderful meal. Should last for a while, because whatever they don't eat, they can just stick outside to keep frozen.
Zofan would partake.
Yeah, so would Clintock and Felix. Both of them have no.
Basil W. would, but Karn would not.
Ryan definitely would. And John Tor, being, the teenage follow the crowd sort, basically looks around, sees most people doing it, and decides smoking is cool, and he's going to go take a puff or two or four.
And of course, this is the Dolmenwood optional smoking rule, which is quiet contemplation. So if you sit down, get out your pipe and smoke in quiet contemplation for an hour and debate with companions, contemplate a problem. And like you've done this before, ask me a question. So it's an intelligence check. Whoever is smoking, whoever has the best intelligence, roll under your intelligence. And since you have more than two people, it's a -2 to the roll. So, and you're rolling under. If you have associated minuses with that already, make sure you take that into consideration.
Yeah, both of my characters have an int of 10. So that's not a great start. Somebody else?
Basil Wilberforce has an int of 16.
Wow.
I just got a nat 20 on my low
Wow.
roll. That did not go well.
This is the real good shit. So the friar comes in, leads his group in, and they sit down in this room that's, basically just, it's got a table and some chairs and a fireplace and a small little cabinet for cups and plates and stuff. And you can see there's another room that is got a couple tiny beds, basically baskets. A lot of clothes and cloaks in them. And the friar says, we'll rest here this evening and then make the last trek to the final lighthouse in the morning.
Sounds good to me. I can't help but wonder, and is the otter and the weasel in this room?
Yeah, yeah. The otter is smoking his pipe, and the weasel is cutting up. You get pieces of cheese and with your frozen or cooked piece of fish. So he's kind of serving everybody. He's going to and fro with a couple plates and giving everybody a little bit of food.
So how does an otter and a weasel end up in a house that is much too big for them?
You're asking the friar this?
I ask like both the otter and the weasel. It seems strange. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm just curious how you got here. Were you once larger and then turned into an otter?
No. I've always been this size.
This isn't an otter man and a weasel man. These are like real normal size and weasels.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they're
Correct.
just sentient, anthropomorphic.
Okay, wild. Okay. Did not twig on that fact to start out with.
We were made sentient by Antui.
Who is Antui?
But things got too dangerous in the Dolmenwood. We had to leave.
What kind of danger?
And the friar comes over. He says he's talking about the Nag Lord. And the otter's like, yeah, he goes by that name too. He wanted companions, but he chose to enslave us. So we had to escape the Dolmenwood. We prefer some other place than this, but it's the best we can do right now.
Well, perhaps we can do something about this Nag Lord we've been hearing so much about.
Have we heard about the Nag Lord before? Like, was that a thing last?
He may have been mentioned.
I think you mentioned him last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long ago were they driven out?
Oh, they both kind of look at each other like, not sure. Oh, it's probably been 10 years or so.
Okay. Well, still, it's relatively current compared to the other people we have talked to. So we should ask them about the places we need to go, the gate and the spring or whatever, the well. Ask them about those places, get directions to them so that when we get there, we're not flailing around.
So Lord Three Moons Waxing said that he believed that the entrance to the Infinite Road was in a place called Migra's Reach.
Right.
And the friar says, I believe that it's going to be east of us when we exit into Dolmenwood. But as far as I know, there's a strange village there. I don't know if it's cursed or something, but that's what I've heard.
Okay. So what do we need to be looking out for?
Well, I'm sure some of the elders of the town probably know where this gate is.
We can certainly check with them. I mean, are the gates to the Infinite Road still used? Do they receive a lot of traffic?
I've always heard that they exist, but I am unsure if anybody uses them or how long or when.
Well, it seems our best bet to find them will just be to get as close as we can to where we think they are and then ask around. Do we need to worry about the Nag Lord?
He has a certain influence in the Dolmenwood, but I think where you're going, you'll be okay. His influence is growing, but he is, you would just use caution just like anywhere else.
Would Antui be a friend or a foe?
He would not be your friend.
Perhaps he just needs to learn about Cuthbert.
Oh, God.
I shall bring to this Antui the light of the word of Cuthbert, and surely we will make a friend of him yet.
But I'm not sure how long I've dwelt in this fairy road, in this traversing through Toadflax. So the last time I was back in Dolmenwood, he had a presence, but he was still being kept at bay.
But wait a minute. If we turn these guys sapient, why are they leaving?
Because he enslaved them.
Okay. So definite high on the bad guy side.
He didn't learn the lesson. Slaves aren't very good friends.
In the evening, you would notice that the friar takes out a tome, like a tattered book with some pages and scrawls some names in them. You can see it's worn and it's wet and it's seen better days, but he tries to keep it kind of in some kind of animal, probably like an animal skin or to try to keep it semi-dry. But you can see him at night. He's writing names down.
Do any of the names look recognizable, or we can't really see what names he's writing like at a glance?
Do you go up and ask him?
I guess Zofan would study him for a little while as he was doing this, and if he didn't like notice Zofan would approach and ask
Okay.
him.
So yeah, he's standing there in his breech clout. He takes all his clothes off to dry them. He's like, "Did you get enough fish?"
Yes, I'm quite full for the first time in a while.
That's quite an interesting piece of headgear you have. I don't think I've ever seen one like that. Are you some sort of soldier or?
Nope, I have just been hit in the head far too many times.
That's a damn sure.
And there are dents and bruises that the headgear does a pretty good job in hiding. As he like has a bout of vertigo, as a concussion hits. I couldn't help but notice you're carrying a ledger of names. Are these individuals who have crossed the ferry road?
Oh, yes. This I try to keep track of everyone who I helped through the gate because there is a chance once I get back to the other side, I may not recall who they are, and it would be a shame that they had made it that far and I could not give them a proper blessing and burial. I learned that the hard way the first time.
What makes you forget?
When you travel from fairy to the mortal world, there is a chance you may not remember any of it.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for all your help. I know we have another day of travel yet to go, but we would have had a tough time making it across without your guidance.
It is my sworn duty to do such things, to look out for those who are lost. It is what the one true God would want, and I am just his loyal servant.
We but live to serve.
Yes. Well, enjoy your fish this evening and your cheese, as Oscar and Wally are gracious hosts, and rest, for we have the most arduous and treacherous part of our trip to the next lighthouse.
It doesn't get any easier, it gets worse.
Yes, but I think all of you are up for the task.
Oh, I am sure we are. I relish the challenge. That's why I ask. I'll get a little extra sleep tonight, an extra prayer to Cuthbert in the morning. Wake these sinners up a little extra early so they can get their blood pumping before we head out.
You just hear Clintock rumble in the background.
All right, so the evening passes. If you have lost any hit points, you can roll that. I think it's a D4. The only people rolling out today with negative should be Zofan. He's got a -1 because of the cold, and a -2 because of the concussion. A -3.
Yep.
Tamul is not good.
Yeah,
Basil
Tamul
Wilberforce should be a -1, and Basil Bessick should be a -2.
Yeah, Tamul was way the hell down because he failed every cold roll, basically.
Yeah. Well, the nat 20 will ruin you. So yeah, you got plenty of fish. You could take some with you if you want. Some of the cooked fish. The thing is huge. You could probably take some cooked fish with you. At least have some rations for the next evening.
Yep.
The last day, you are headed to the last lighthouse. All right. So again, the wind is whipping and it's cold. And who was the last one to roll? We might be at the top. All right. So you're up, Dustin. We'll give you a D6 roll.
That's a 1, which is always a success in this.
Right. Of course it is. I can count on you for that. That's good.
What do you want?
2D6.
Yeah, it's 4.
Okay.
I got rolled a 4 in my last 2d6 as well.
Okay.
1 is just the excitement roll. That's when all the fun.
Right. So 2 hours into your trek, doing the same thing you guys did, both tied together. And as you're headed out into this frozen tundra, you can see there's a small path where maybe somebody has walked through here. But, as they make a footprint and then more snow comes on, so you can kind of see. And then off to the side of the path are there's a little bit of probably a foot of snow on either side. You can see the end of what looks like a treasure chest or some sort of chest sticking out. It's wooden. It's got cracks in it.
Everybody knows what Clintock does.
Takes us a look.
All right. You check for gems.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Sorry, folks. There's no gems, but maybe somebody wants to jump on that, be the first to check it out.
Basil Wilberforce obviously isn't going to try to check anything out.
Zofan and Basil wouldn't. Well, Basil definitely doesn't have a need for this gold, and Zofan might check it out because he's not rolling deep like Basil is.
Rolling deep. Oh God.
So yeah, like Zofan would at least inspect it and kind of test it with his weapon, push it gently.
Felix is going to look around and see if he thinks it's like a trap, like waiting to be sprung. Like there's people waiting and hiding.
Okay. So yeah, you're just kind of pushing that thing. It's, pretty solid, even though it's got cracked and looks like pieces missing because it's just frozen. And as you do that, the ground sort of erupts and these black tentacles come out of the ground,
I knew it.
and you see ice like smash everywhere. Give me a d6 roll.
5.
Okay, probably the fact that you're an acrobat, even though that you went up there, you're probably a little bit cautious. You are not surprised by this. So we roll initiative,
Nice.
and I rolled a 6.
Where's that +2?
You can start off with +2. Oh, yes. Roll a 6, so 8.
All right, you're up first.
I feel like Zofan would like backflip away and then like
Okay.
throw chi high at one of the tentacles. Can't roll for shit, man. That's definitely a miss because it's a 5 on the die.
Hey, at least you made your surprise roll. So
Yeah, would have been bad.
okay,
Felix says, with a different type of fish comes a different type of technique. And he like grabs out a thing of lantern oil, tries to light it on fire and chuck it.
Translation, I'm not getting near that damn thing.
give me an attack roll.
20. Unnatural.
That's a hit.
For 6.
Burns for
Okay.
like 2 rounds, right?
Good question.
I don't think I've ever had more than one round.
I thought it burned for 2 rounds. I don't know for sure. I thought I remembered that.
Yeah, it actually that is the property. We've never done that, but I'll tell you, we'll do that. Well, just remind me. We'll do that from now on. Okay. So yeah, you make another damage roll the next round. Just let me know unless it puts
Okay.
it out.
Yep, that sounds good.
All right, nice work. Yeah, hit it. It's burning.
All right, so there's tentacles coming out of the ground.
Well, you see pieces of ice break up. You're guessing that, is it hard ground? Is it water? Who knows? But there looks to be 6 of these things.
Well, we've seen fish coming out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when I pulled that spear with the rope out, was the rope that I drug out from underneath the ice wet with water?
Yeah.
So can Karn make out the body of this thing yet?
No.
Could he make an educated guess?
Like where the body is?
Yeah. Like judging from, where the tentacles are coming out, guessing where the center of that might be. And maybe is there a hole that if he chucked that spear with the rope attached to it through, he might have a chance to hit this thing.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
He's going to drop the rope around, but hold on to one end of it and chuck this spear at it,
Okay.
trying to hook it.
Okay. Go for it.
He rolled a 2.
All that.
Great idea, Oot.
That happens.
When he misses, he starts reeling the rope back.
Who's next?
All right, Orion will spin up the sling as usual. 20. The sling might actually do a half-assed piece of damage this time. That's 4 plus, a 1. 5 hull damage.
Okay.
And then I got to check John Tor. What does he have for range? Short buff does a 13 hit.
No, it does not.
Clintock will loose an arrow at this thing
All right. Sounds good.
for a 19. 2 high rolls. For 4 damage.
Yep. Sticks right into one of its tentacles. All right. It is
Uh,
still writhing around.
Basil, he doesn't want to throw a Percival rock, but are there other rocks or something else that he could throw? If not, he might just like run up and try to like not punch it, but try to like break it, like break a tentacle in half or something.
Okay. You can attack a tentacle. Yes.
Oh man, that is an 11.
That is not a hit.
Yeah, he's gonna back away just in case these things go wild.
Basil Wilberforce is taking a cue from that, and he gets, back about 20, 30 feet before he takes a bow shot at one of the tentacles or whatever else he can see.
All right.
He got 17, and then he's got the -1, but he's got the +3, so 19, and does 4 points of damage.
Nice.
Still up. Is that everybody?
Think so.
It has been hacked and hit. All right. So let's see. Who is up with it? Felix is in close combat with it.
Didn't Felix throw oil? No, Clintock threw oil.
No, that was Felix.
Okay.
I don't think anybody was stupid enough to close.
Let's see here. What is it going to do? It drops below. It does this, and you hear it go back underneath into the water.
Karn shouts out, "Don't move!"
Great.
Let us roll initiative. I rolled a 4.
Orion will go. 5 plus 1 is 6.
All right, you're up first.
Orion and John Tor are going to be like, well, if we can do 2 things, spinning up our ranged weapons to hit it if it pops out, but also looking down, looking down at the ice and seeing if we can see this thing coming. We're sort of sitting here looking down, going, Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Okay. All right.
Basil, Wilberforce, and Karn obviously aren't moving. Basil's like, trying to make that little retreating motion, and he just stops and realizes what he's talking about.
Okay.
Is there a relatively large like rock or something nearby that Felix could pick up?
I would say no, because I know Basil Bessex was looking for something like that.
Yeah.
The only thing you would find would be like a huge chunk of ice.
Oh, that works. If there's like a loose, huge chunk of ice within like without moving
Yeah.
feet, but like I could pick up that's near enough.
Okay.
If I can, I will do that. I'll pick one up and then I'll chuck it in a direction that isn't like right next to anyone,
Okay.
but isn't like too far away.
All right. All right. That's fine.
Trying to draw it out. Okay.
Do I need to make any sort of like strength check or anything for that?
Give me a dex roll.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Okay. So you throw it right where you need to.
Yeah. The rare case in which rolling a natural one was effective.
Nice. All right.
That doesn't happen often.
No.
What's everybody else doing?
Yeah, I think, well, if movement is a trigger, then Basil, seeing that everybody else is not moving, would also,
Well, we're guessing, obviously.
but he's not going to spoil the guess. He's gonna at least see if the ice comes to fruition, and Zofan will do the same.
Okay.
I imagine by now Karn's got his spear rolled back up and cocked and ready to go, but he's not moving around. He's just watching everywhere carefully.
Yeah. Clinthog just knocks an arrow.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I'm going to give it a d6 roll. 1 or 2, it will come to the surface. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come after you since you did that thing. So I rolled a 1. So it's coming up, and I'm going to roll a d6. Let's see. We'll say a 1 or a 2. It comes up in your group. 3, a 4. It comes up on the other group, and a 5 and 6 will show up in the spot that you threw the piece of ice.
All right. Cool.
I rolled a 2. So it senses where you guys are. It breaks up through the ice, and I'm just going to roll.
So moving had no effect on it. Moving or lack of it had no real effect.
Well, I mean, there was a very slim chance, but
He did give us a 2 and 6 chance that it went after the eye. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah. But it's not something that's searching after rhythms or sounds or anything like that.
Yeah.
okay. So I wrote everybody from 1 to 8. So here we go. 7, 5, 2, 5.
Or sap, that's 5.
I'll give you 2 guesses. I'll give you 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. So it has 6 attacks.
1 for each tentacle.
Correct. So you can kind of see patches of ice, but the ice is really thick. So it's hard to see anything. And then just boom, it erupts out of the ground and comes after Basil Bessex with a,
No.
it just tickles your fancy. It goes after Orion with a 10,
with
nothing. And then 2 tentacles come after Card Stone.
Oh,
19 to hit. All right, that's 3 damage. And a natural 1. I'll roll that right now. 62. Just remind me. John Tor, 5. That's a miss. So Karn's the only one that's hit. And Felix, I rolled a 3. So Karn is the only one that gets hit. 62 on the crit fail chart. We shall see if because it grabs you and it has the throttle feature.
but I have a rope and a spear in my
Yeah, you do.
I'm hoping because of the crit miss or something, maybe I can turn that into it's easier for me, or that's throttling me. It's easier for me to jam that spear into the tentacle and throw the rope to my friends and yank this fucker out of the water.
This is what happens. So it grabs you, Karn, and the first tentacle grabs you, does the damage, and it's like going to grab you and probably sling you around. And that other tentacle tries to grab you as well. It hits the other tentacle and drops you to the ground. You don't take any damage. But basically the tentacles are fighting over you. I mean, who would have thought it? Take 3 points of damage. You don't take anything, from falling.
Okay. Now I didn't take an action before. And
you guys can go. I'll let you. You guys.
I'm already with that spear and stuff.
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm trying to spear it because, my idea is to pull this thing out of the water and get it helpless.
Okay.
Now that is the 17 plus my what?
That's a hit.
Dex 18. 6 points.
Tell me how he dies.
Oh shit.
Nice.
That was
He didn't have many hit points left. You guys were whacking on him.
I follow that tentacle down and at the last second change where I'm throwing it, and I throw that spear into the body of it as the tentacle's dropping me. And as I hit the ground, I grab the coiled rope and I throw it towards my friends and go, hurry up, pull them out.
Felix
Alright.
rushes over in excitement.
Yeah, and you pull this octopus, flops right onto the ground or onto the snow and ice.
He claps Karn on the back and says, "Great catch, my friend."
Who knew that danger could be so delicious?
Let's eat tonight.
Yeah, that's true. We got another day's meal and then some.
All right, drag this thing along or something. Okay.
Cut it up into easily manageable hunks.
Yeah, Felix hacks off a couple of as many large tentacle pieces as he can easily carry.
Okay. All right.
Hand a big hunk to everybody in the party and go, here's your meal tonight. If you lose track of it, you starve.
All right. So everybody make a con roll because you guys are out here. You're going to take some time cutting this thing up, and you've had that fight.
All right, that's one success.
Oh yeah, Basil fails badly.
Both of my guys make it even at the -1 for John.
So back to -2 for Basil W, I guess.
Yep.
Clinton
Yeah.
succeeds, Basil fails. Or not Basil, Felix.
Right. Felix -1. What's everybody else?
Basil and Zofan both pass.
Good. Okay. Oh, I got to roll for.
At minus ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that's a pass, but that's a negative. He's at -5.
Oh man, he's in such trouble.
Roll for the friar. He's good. You spend some time right there. You're doing that. You also realize that the chest that was there is like broken to pieces. Everybody give me a D100 roll. Each person. So it should be 4 rolls.
79.
79.
46.
46.
9.
89.
You won.
61. Okay, so you realize that the chest was busted open, and inside you find a white gold letter opener, a blotter, and a signet ring.
Did we really all 3 things that sort of look like they intend to go together?
Yes, they look like they go together. Yes. You find a pair of basalt gargoyle bookends.
Okay.
You find some jars of pigments, ink vials, and a collection of vellums and parchments in a rainbow of colors.
Orion has a 2 in 6 chance of IDing anything of legendary or story significant.
Good thing those gargoyle bookends were part of some ancient folklore.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's sort of up to the GM, obviously. So
You find a golden scorpion brooch with ruby eyes.
Clintock rushes to grab that before anyone gets a chance.
And the final item you find is a prosthetic hand, wooden hand. No, let me take that back. A prosthetic hand carved from white alabaster and engraved with runes.
The hand of Not Vecna. Yeah.
So there's some
Yeah.
random items there that you found in the treasure chest after facing
Right.
the black tentacles. And
Basil's going to keep the hand, for science.
science.
Signet ring and the stuff that went with that. I think Basil Wilberforce is interested in that.
he's really
It's
trying.
in
He's really pretentious bastard, isn't he?
Yes. What does the signet look like?
The excellent question. The
But it sounds
signet-
like that would be good to write and seal with. And he actually is literate and knows how to write.
Yeah, Orion will go after the jars of pigment, ink vials, etc. He needs to start writing down all this crazy shit. Not that he hasn't before, but needs to keep writing down all this crazy shit before he forgets what the rest of the crazies are doing.
Give me a D6 roll, Paul. I'll tell you what it looks like.
4.
You're looking at it, you wipe some of the snow and stuff off it. It looks like a boar jumping a harp, and it's got a bunch of like spears sticking out of it.
Oh, very cool.
We're jumping a harp, as in musical instrument harp.
Yes.
And what were the other 2 items that were with that? Because I didn't write it all down.
There's a
Okay.
blotter and a white gold letter opener.
He puts the ring on.
Clintock will look in his monocle at the brooch.
Yeah, it is not magical. I guess you had your compass and you may have spotted since we rolled randomly, I didn't know that thing would have gems.
Oh, yeah.
But considering the cold and everything, it may not have been as effective. That's what we'll say.
All right, sounds good. He pins the brooch to his beret.
All right.
Ryan just puts away the stuff he got.
You guys kind of pack everything up, and you've got your pieces of octopus. Probably just tie them on a rope or something and drag them along.
Yep.
And Paul, give me a D6 roll as we venture back out.
6.
Okay. And let's see, maybe roll for that. Cold and wind and snow continue to blow for the next 3 hours, but nothing. You don't attract anything with your dragging that food along. And
Great. We're dragging a little bit.
every once in a while, you can hear what sounds like cracking of ice in the distance, but you continue to make your trek towards the last light. Russell, D6 roll.
6.
Okay. You pass what looks to be a house, just the foundation. It's full of snow and ice, and it looks like you see a couple pieces of wood that were burned. So it's unclear if the house burnt down or somebody burned what was left as firewood or something. But another hour passes. Okay. Wes, D6 roll.
Yep, 6.
All right. So yeah, the friar says it shouldn't be much longer, just a couple more hours as you guys are continuing on, and make another con roll.
Really an endurance trek, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clintock and Felix safe.
Okay, good.
Orion fails. John Torres succeeds. So they're both at -1.
Actually, I actually rolled a natural 1, so he knocks off. He's down to -4. He's been reinvigorated. He got some of that black tentacle meat in him, and everybody else good? Everybody pass?
Basil did not.
Actually, both mine passed.
Basil, best 6.
He got a
All right.
nat 20.
I got a 3 and a 3.
Nice.
So yeah, unfortunately your nat 20 counts for 2, so you are at -2 for that.
Oof.
This is the die that I used the night that we fought in the manor there with that giant that got shrank down and everything,
Yep.
where I made one good roll the entire night to hit.
Yeah, this trek, you guys are 10 hours in, and Dustin, give me a D6 roll. Almost, yeah.
Are you sure you want me to do that D6?
Yeah, you're the good one.
5.
Okay, yeah.
You got dinner out of the last one and treasure.
So you manage to avoid any more encounters as you make it up to the last lighthouse. It takes a little bit longer than you anticipate, as it seems to be like on the edge. Come to the lighthouse, and then you see it kind of like drop off what looks like a cliff, and it's a stone building, and you see of it, the pieces of it have fallen off, and it almost looks like a section of the lighthouse has come off and it's exposed to the elements. And the friar kind of just goes ahead of you and opens the door, like kind of pushes himself, pushes the door like it's almost like it's stuck or something. And he kind of pushes it in, and you come in. The first thing you notice is it's not heated. There is no fire going on in here. It is cold.
Clintock just says, good thing I brought extra wood.
He's like, I don't intend to stay very long. I mean, the entrance to the Dolmenwood is here.
Oh, well, in that case.
Is the Dolmenwood going to be just as cold as this?
I don't believe so. I don't.
Wait a minute. According to the lore we just heard, the Cold Prince is not ruling the Dolmenwood.
No,
right?
he's not. That was a long time ago. No, he wants to again.
He was one of the people who got pushed out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So indeed, his influence should not be over the Dolmen.
correct.
Thank goodness. Let's keep going and get out of the freeze our nuts off territory.
Right?
He leads the whole group in there, dragging your frozen black tentacles along with you. And this room is just trashed. It's just like broken pieces of furniture, and like people have ransacked it and had probably little fires and stuff in isolated places. And he kind of walks over to a wooden door and pulls that key out that he had around his neck and unlocks the door, and says, okay. He kind of looks at everybody, and you don't see anything through that door. It looks pitch black. He says, you can see him thinking, like, how do I want to do this? He says, Karn,
Yeah.
I am going to go through first. Stay on this side, and I want you to make sure everybody goes through. And when you're the last person to go through, pull that door closed.
I can do this.
Okay. Just follow me. And he proceeds to walk into the darkness, and then just kind of, you just hear his footsteps like they're on brick or stone or something, and he just kind of vanishes out of sight.
You heard the man. After him.
Felix goes first.
Well, wait a minute. Orion's going to grab one of the other followers because he wants to see what happens when they go through the door, because he wants to see if the friar was on the up and up. And besides which, it'll make a great story, watching somebody wander through and turn to dust or whatever. So Orion's going to grab one of the, give me one of the crazy people and drag them through with him just to see what happens.
You sure you don't want the guy with his chest caved in?
All right, so who's first?
I'll let Orion go first. He sounds
Okay.
like
He's really jonesing for it.
All right.
Right, what happens? I mean, can you blame him?
No.
He looks around, or nobody else is contesting it. He'll grab one of the closest, amnesiac and wander on through.
Paul, give me a D4 roll.
2.
Okay. Wes, give me a D12 roll.
6.
All right. So, Ryan, you grab, looks like a female, just kind of scrawny, but she's got a fishing pole with her. She was one of the anglers. She's like, oh, finally. And you're walking and you can feel, feels like stone. And then all of a sudden it feels more like you're walking on dirt, like it's softer and it feels a lot warmer. And then you hear a noise and then you're in the light and you look down and there's a pile of bones next to you and just some rags that the person was wearing and their like fishing rod. And the friar's like, oh, quickly. And he grabs the bones up. The room is lit by like a lantern. You're in some kind of, looks like a cave almost. It's just dirt. And he comes over and he's got a lantern lit and he grabs the bones and he's got a sack. He's got a bunch of like sacks and he's got a shovel and he just kind of puts the bones in a sack.
Okay. He was legit. Ryan gives a big smile and say, wow, that's, okay, yeah, that's good. That's okay, yeah, whatever. Saying he's happy the lady turned the bones in front of him is probably not going to endear him to the
no, but the friar does that, and then as he's doing that, he looks up and sees you, and he goes, "Praise the one true God," and he puts his hand on your shoulder. He's like, "Oh," like relieved that you did not do the same thing.
I told you we've only been in there for a day. I know.
You've been in there as many times as I have.
Everybody has memory problems. You can't trust what they say.
So how did we do the Remember Fairy? Did we roll under a number or did we do save versus spells?
I thought it was save versus spells.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So Orion, save versus spells.
All righty. Am I going to remember that? High is good. Well, let's see. If a 16 is good enough. Yep, it's a 13. And even with the -1, he will remember. Wow. Otherwise, he'd come out of the doorway and a collapsing skeleton next to him and go, what the hell? Okay.
The friar just kind of looks. He's like, oh, thank. And you tell him, like, I told you. He's like, I guess you did. How many more do we have left?
Didn't you say there were 8 of them?
All right, so who's next?
Felix is going next.
Okay, so yeah, Felix walks. You say the same thing. You feel that it feels very warm in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this underground like tunnel, and there's a shovel and this bag, and the friar's standing there, and he looks relieved, like, oh, thank God. And he's like, I'm sorry, you look like are you a knight?
Yes, he succeeds. So he says, he's by Lord Three Moons Waxing.
Oh, wow. That would be so terrible if he got knighted and then woke up and had all this cool armor and had no earthly idea what. Oh, wow.
He looks relieved. You could see him fishing in his stuff to pull out his little book. Throws that the cover off. He's like flipping through it, like waiting for the next person to come through.
Clintock is going to hang back for a while to just see what happens. He's a little bit skeptical.
All right.
Basil gathers up as many people from the other group that want to go with him, and
yeah, very very eager.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
like, come on, then let's go.
Yes, and all excited. There's 3 of them that come with you, and the same thing as you walk through, you can hear a noise, and then you're standing there in the light, and there are 3 piles of bones with clothes, and the friar comes over, and he's got his book out, and he's looking at it, and he's collecting them, putting them in little sacks.
And I got to make a save versus
Yep.
spells, we said.
Yep.
Can he beat a 13? Why am I shaking the die before I drop it in the dice tower? 13 and 13.
Given that extra oomph.
Yeah. Does a 13 matching a 13 make it?
Equal or over, so you should be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. The friar quickly collects those piles of bones into different sacks and pulls them to the side. He's like, how many more? As he's trying to
Although
go
he
through
makes
his
it-
notebook.
Sorry, he may wish he forgot that part of it.
All right, who's next?
Basil will go.
Okay.
So he stumbles through.
Yeah.
And he's got a -4. Things are looking good for old Basil here. Oh yeah, definitely not.
You have
So,
a hustle point.
I would have to roll. So he has a saving throw of 14, and with a -4,
You'd
I'd
have to roll an 18. Yeah.
So it's just not worth it.
Okay, so you step out and you just like, I mean, you recognize people in your group and like, you remember the boat ride, you remember going somewhere, but everything else is kind of fuzzy.
And you also have a giant tentacle strapped to you.
I have no memory of this place.
Orion doesn't know, but wait a minute. Does he look like, what?
Yeah,
Where?
he's like looking around, and he's like just like thoroughly confused.
Orion will wander over, pat him on the shoulder, and go, I see you kept a piece of her. You told me she was a real ride. And points at the tentacle on his back.
Did I beat an octopus in an arm wrestling match? Hey, Felix, where'd you get the armor?
I am now a knight. Thank you very much.
When did you become a knight?
Oh, back there in that fucking blizzard.
I guess there is snow on me. Wow.
We also fought a real horrible tentacle beast. That's a dinner. I assume it's high in protein, but you'd probably know better.
He looks down. He's like, at least I've kept my training regimen. And Basil's just gonna take it all in, and he will ask enough dumb questions until people decide to fill him in or to not fill him in or to mess with him. Kind of at the mercy of his companion's generosity at this point, of how much they want to tell him or how much truthful things they want to tell him.
Basil Wilberforce is tempted to tell him, oh, don't forget that you owe me that 40 gold over that bet you lost.
Orion's just going to keep up the innuendo that he slept with an octopus just as long as he possibly can. And, actually, let me roll the saving throw from John Torres. So I know if John Torres is going to contradict him or not. Oh, John Torres rolled a 7. John Torres clueless.
How do we know different?
After seeing multiple people go through and seemingly not come back or not burst into flames or anything, Clintock risked it despite not having a soul. Oh, and he failed to save.
Okay, you do have a hustle point if you, don't you?
No, I already burned my hustle.
You already burned it. Okay, so Clintock comes through.
He doesn't recall anything. He quickly pats himself down to make sure all of his possessions are there, and then feels something on his beret and takes it down and goes, huh, I guess it was worth it. And then puts it back.
We got Zofan and Karn would be last.
Oh man, I was one short. I'm gonna use a hustle point because this Zofan has a better chance. He made it.
Whoa!
Nice.
17. So Zofan walks through and he sees Basil just kind of talking to everybody and presumably people razzing Basil, and he says, finally glad to be out of that blizzard for good. Yeah.
Felix just goes, I don't know, it was some good fishing.
Did Clintock fail? Clintock failed.
Clintock definitely failed.
Who else failed? Just so I can note it down.
Basil.
Keep my story.
And Karn's last.
Yep. I think
Yeah, all the other, so you guys would see the rest of that group come through and hear a noise and see the bones on the ground and the friar running and grabbing and thinking, God, how many more are there? And he'd look at his book. And then you see there's some bones sitting there and what looks like folded up blueprints laying on the ground with some like fungus. And the friar just kind of sifts through that stuff and puts it in a sack. And Karn, you close the door.
Close the door, and do I save?
Yep. You close the door, you hear it lock behind you.
Like a motherfucker, I say, with an 18.
Okay. All right. You walk through and see the rest of the group. It is very warm. All right. And let's see. So the other roll we got to make is dun, dun, dun. All right, Wes, give me a 2d6 roll.
5 and a 1 for a total of 6.
6. Paul, give me a d6 roll.
5.
Okay, 5.
It's a good thing that at least one of either Zofan or Basil saved, because otherwise they would not remember the detail of the ferry that the Lord Three Moon Waxing gave them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really.
So the friar consults his book a couple times and organizes all these little different sacks of bones and sort of make notes. He's making notes of them. He's like, some of these, this one needs to go here, and these others, I'm not sure. I will just bury them here in the cemetery. And he says, okay. He takes the lantern and walks like another 20 feet up to like an incline and it's just dirt. He just kind of walks up and pushes some of the boards. They look like boards, but they got moss and vines and stuff on them. He kind of pushes them aside. You can see the sunlight come down as he's doing that. And he stands there. He cuts his light off. He says, "Come on, follow me."
I bet he's happy. He got a lot more out alive this round than he probably ever did before.
Yeah, almost half, right?
Oh yeah. So as you guys like walk up this dirt incline and step out, you step out into like a wooded area, and it is warm. Well, obviously it's warm compared to where you were, but it's a nice spring day. The sun is out. You can hear birds chirping.
So nice.
It says, "Well, this is Fort Vulgar."
Fort Vulgar.
Fort Vulgar? Why is it called that?
Sure, there's a reason.
Is it a vulgar one?
Vulgar as in vulgar, uncouth?
Or was it Fort Bulger?
No, it's Vulgar with a V.
Okay.
It is vulgar.
He steps out of the
Oh.
woods. There's a bunch of trees that you kind of have to like brush through, and there's some woods behind you, and in front of you is a cemetery. It looks like a very old cemetery with stones, and then up on a hill you can see what looks like a chapel. And if you look like to your right, you will see some like a fence, like some barricades, and he would say, "Yeah, that's where the fort is." And he says that church there is the chapel of Saint Dugan.
Felix asks him, "Do you need help burying the bodies?"
Yes, I would gladly take help. We are going to bury. Let's see, is it 5? No, there's 8, and 3 of them he knows he has to take somewhere else. And the one who's like the fungus, he just kind of goes into a patch of dirt and kind of digs it up and kind of just drops the bones in there, says a prayer. But the other ones he's going to give a proper like burial to.
I'll ask why he says he has to take some of them elsewhere.
He looks in his parchment, his book, and he says, "Well, 2 of them were pilgrims headed to High Hankel to the 3 martyrs. So I will return their remains there, and the other one is to be taken to Castle Brackenwold. That's where they're from."
Basically honoring their wishes.
And you can see, obviously, he didn't pass, so that's why he's consulting his little tome to remember everything. It's a palisade that surrounds this fort, and that church sits on a hill, and you can see, if you look the other direction, there's like a river, and it goes out into a lake, and there's some boats that are at a dock, and a walkway that goes over the river. You probably want to get some rest, I would assume. You're probably tired.
I could sleep very well tonight.
Try to get rid of some of these negatives from the cold. Like Basil Wilberforce, even though it's warm out, is like looking around for firewood. He wants to get extra warm, so he wakes up and feels so much better.
He says, you may be able to stay at the Chook's Knob. It's not much for accommodations, but it's right there on the docks. Maybe they should have enough rooms for you, or if they don't, you can sleep in the common area.
Okay.
Chook's not.
So we are in Fort Vulgar. Why are we here?
We're here because you owe me 40 gold pieces from that bet that you lost, and you're gonna try to get into an arm wrestling contest and try to win that money so you can pay me.
Glintock pipes up at hearing Basil say this and says, "I believe 20 of that gold was mine, Basil."
Love it.
Well, of course it is.
Orion just turns around because he knows he can't keep a straight face. He just turns around and goes off a little distance somewhere else.
Barnes oblivious because he figures that they probably made a bet when he wasn't listening. He's like, he knows that you guys do keep some things out of his sight. If he knew Basil was making that up, he would absolutely say something.
Yeah. Well, so Basil's like, well, I guess I better scout the local town. Maybe we can find get the scoop at the Chook's Knob.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be a good arm wrestling match for you there.
If it's a rustic place, that means that's where the competition hangs out.
That's right.
Yeah, they're not going to any fancy hotels.
And I bet none of them are doing pull-ups like you are every day.
There's something in the water here. We're definitely not in the material world anymore. Although I can't really quite place it. Fae, maybe?
We're in the Dolmenwood.
The
I
friar
think we
says,
left
"No,
the
this
Fae
is the
behind.
mortal world."
We just left the Fae behind. That's why you're having so much trouble remembering.
Oh.
Don't worry, friend. I'll look after your best interests. I've got you.
Basil hasn't forgotten that much to know that Basil W is
Yes.
pulling the wool over his eyes with that one. It's like, okay, Basil, whatever you say. So we'll head to the Chook.
He puts his hands on the back of your neck and like rubs your shoulders. Don't worry, champ. You're gonna get him.
Basil immediately like covers his pouches where the gold is.
Good idea.
So I guess we're gonna head to the Chook's knob.
So it takes about an hour or so to bury these bodies, the remains, and the friar collects the rest of them. And he goes up to the chapel, makes his way up the hill to the chapel. He says, if you wish to go to the inn, then say, I have to go up to the chapel to check in. But he points to where it is. It looks like a warehouse. And he says, you can't miss it. It's right there. The chapel's up on a hill and you go around. You go near the river and you pass this like 2-story tower with pinkish white stones. And you see that there is a knight, certainly dressed like a knight, like standing guard, and just sort of nods as you go by. And as you're coming up to the Chook's knob, which is like right on the docks, and it's an old warehouse. You can see the roof is tarred, and there's some barrels outside that they've made into like tables, and there's some people singing. There's like a group of workers inside singing, and the sign is a green scaly tentacle that looks severed, and it looks like it's oozing or something.
Hey, we came dressed for the occasion.
They brought tentacles.
And you walk in, and it's kind of run down. And there's so when you met the first lighthouse keeper, who was the goat folk, who was a shorthorn goat folk. This is a female shorthorn, and she has ginger fur, deep red eyes, and foot long chin locks, and like a one fang like tooth. And you notice one of her forearms are shaved. She's wearing an apron. And on that shaved arm, she has a tattoo of a tentacle going around it. Well, greetings, friends. Come in. Welcome to Chook's Knob.
Quintok sees the eyes and briefly averts his eyes from his earlier experience, and then it's like,
Yeah.
ooh, okay, I'm safe, and like keeps going.
We require rooms. Do you have any available?
Yes, yeah, we got the common room. We got 4 private rooms. They're currently unoccupied. 1 gold piece per night.
Ryan immediately lunges and goes for a private room.
Tell me something though. Like, you serve food here, right? Do you get fresh seafood here often?
We get some smelt and oysters.
Have you ever had this? And he throws up one of the tentacles.
Oh, bye. Where'd you find this?
We brought it with us. It's pretty fresh.
Never give away your fishing spots.
I wasn't giving away the fishing spot.
All right.
We brought it with us. You can tell it's still freshly frozen. We thought perhaps if you had somebody here who knew how to prepare it, we could maybe trade you some fresh seafood for dinner and rooms for a night or two.
This is worth it. This is great. Did you pull it from Lake Longmere?
Well, like my friend here said, you never give up your good fishing spots. I can only assure you it's very fresh.
So one of the barge workers or whatever comes over, kind of looking at it. He's sizing it up. You can see he's got a tattoo of some tentacles on his forearm as well. And he's like, well, I don't think this is one of Chook's tentacles, but maybe one of his spawn or something. Not bad.
Chook.
Yeah.
Was he the guardian of this village?
He's the lake monster Big Chook out here in Lake Longmere. She points out the window, and you can see that like here at the mouth of the river, there's a gate, like an iron rusted gate that they have made that sort of prevents ships from going out into the lake. Only fools travel out there.
And I'm guessing keeps things in the lake from getting into the river. So there's something bigger than this out there?
Yes, some have encountered Big Chook, but they tell tall tales. This one will do. Yes. Well, you want? All right. I will give you all room and board. You will get some oysters and smelt and some bread. I will each give you a glass of crabble, and you will get 1 jar. And she reaches the back. She's got some shelves in the back. She pulls out a glass, like a glass jar, and she drops it. The Dockmaster's marmalade. I'll give you that on the house.
What's in the marmalade?
Oh, it's sour crab apple jam sweetened with lashes of honey badger slime.
Basil's like, that sounds delicious.
Whoa, really?
Well, it sounds good to me. We'll eat it. It'll be great at breakfast time.
One of the barge workers or whatever, probably might work in here part-time or comes in here so often that it's like he works here. You hear him, he goes down into like the cellar and comes back up with a jug and starts pouring you guys glasses of Crabble.
Okay. I asked what the marmalade was and regretted it. So I have to complete the screw up and ask what Crabble is.
Well, it's sour crab apple cider.
Oh, now that sounds good.
Pours each of you a mug full.
Wow, that sounds good, actually.
I'll probably have more than one.
Well, the tentacles won't keep. We got to do something with them. So
yeah, she takes it, heads over to like a huge cutting board and grabs a giant cleaver and starts like hacking on it.
How much for all the tentacles? I mean, is that for all the tentacles or just one tentacle?
Just one. No, you slap one on there.
we got to cook them anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we go ahead and trade them all in and say, if that's what you'll give us for one, what do you give us for all these? And then you can feed everybody. You can turn around and sell it to everybody here.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
Well, I'm just not rich.
We'll have a great feast here at the Chook's Knob this evening. There will be raucous singing, there will be arm wrestling, and there will be plenty of these this octopus meat to go around. And she's like, we will have Crabble for everyone. This is a good place to stop.
One thing before I forget, though, I was going to ask her if she knew Lurg Sticklebach, the other goat guardian that we met.
No, she's like, no, don't recall.
Okay.
So in the description of the Chook's Knob, it says, guests, rough barge folk, including folk from the realm to the north, arm wrestling and singing raucous sea shanties.
Basil knows his people.
Yeah. As soon as you started saying something about arm wrestling, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh shit.
Oh, that's funny as hell. It's built into the description. That's wow.
Yes, and also the very funny thing was the black tentacle things was a random roll that I made. And I was trying to think of a place that the gate would show up. So I was like, this makes sense because where it is, And then reading the description, realizing as we're playing, I'm like, okay, so Big Chook is like some kind of monster on Lake Lake. Okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm reading about her and it says, well, her forearm is shaved to show that she's got a tattooed tentacle coiling around it. I was like, holy shit. And then I'm reading, what else? Tattoos. It's customary among the barge folk to have tentacle tattooed coiling around their forearm.
There we go.
And adventurers will be encouraged to do likewise. A traditional tattoo can be had for free.
Oh boy.
So probably in the next session, they will encourage you at this raucous celebration to get some tattoos.
Oh man.
Basil needs a tentacle tattoo.
They'd have to pay him because that's like
it's advertising, right?
Exactly. There's advertising space, and he's endorsing Big Chook or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get John Tor to get a tentacle tattoo.
Chook's Knob.
Orion's several bad decisions behind on joining the rest of this crew in bad decisions.
Love it.
So you got some negatives to take care of.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for running.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for a great game.
All right. Take care.